this video today, I'd like to introduce Momo, which is something that we're building at the moment. And another quick update that I want to share with you guys is I'm going to SF next week, starting from the 12th to the 20th. I'm going there for the LangChain conference event, the Interrupt conference event. So if you guys are around, if any of you guys are around San Francisco or Palo Alto, I would love to get a coffee chat. So if you could like comment or send me a DM on Discord or Twitter, I'd be very happy to just grab a coffee and sort of know like what your life is like, what's the culture like in Silicon Valley. Because this is my first time going there and I can't believe it's my first time. But I'm super excited. I can't wait to see all the companies, the startup culture, everywhere, everything that it all started. I'm a huge Steve Jobs fan, of course, so I'm super excited about visiting his garage as well. So that got me really excited. Anyways, going back to what I did the previous week. So we decided to build a personal AI agent, and we can't start by actually building a platform. We gotta validate small ideas first and then slowly build a platform later on. That's sort of the hardest things that I've been dealing with because I think I'm a visionary. Like I like to dream big and make visions very, very big. But that's really hard when it comes to actually building a startup at first, because if you say that you're going to build a personal AI assistant and you expect people to buy your product. It's going to be very hard because solutions actually have to solve real life problems that people go through. And personal AI assistant is, like people get the grasp of it, but they don't really know what it's going to look like, how it's actually going to be your personal AI assistant. So we decided to start very, very small, and I want to introduce Momo, which we've been building. So the basic concept stems from my philosophy behind what an agent is. What is the definition of an agent? So if you look at the current LLM tools right now that exist in the market, I think a lot of them are based on conversation. And so you have to talk with a chatbot to get an output of something. I think that's not very intuitive, and it is actually a very bad user experience, I feel like, because when it comes to talking or having a conversation with other people, you can have a conversation by speaking, like what I'm doing right now. But when you're interacting with a computer or a cell phone, you usually type a keyboard or you click buttons to get the outputs faster. So if you look at the history of how the UX evolved, there's been buttons and something that you can click on so that you can get faster likes, faster outputs. For example, if you look on Instagram, if you see a post that you like, instead of commenting, "Oh, I really like this picture," if you just press like and a heart button, that explains what you're trying to deliver, right? So when it comes to computers, it has been evolving in a very different way of how humans interact. But when it comes to LLM tools, I feel like that we're going backwards. We should be able to get outputs instantly instead of having to type a whole conversation with the LLM, like explaining, "Oh, how are you doing today? I want this report to be done. If you have to create a report, these things should be done. You have to consider this, blah, blah, blah." But in reality, you should be able to just click a few buttons and then immediately get the result, right? And I think this is one of the main reasons why people have such a hard time using ChatGPT is because they don't really know how to talk with the AI. They're not used to prompt engineering. So that's like one of the main barriers when it comes to using these generative AI tools. So I've been thinking then, what is an agent and how can I really make this user experience much better for people? So if you think about agents, agents are different from LLMs in the sense that agents are actually like humans. So they think like humans, they make their own plan, they create steps what they should do to get this output, and then they automatically do tool calling, like reference other websites, search other websites, and then generates the output for you. If you just type in like one sentence. Please like help me devise a 5-day plan for a trip to Sydney. Then it does everything for you instead of you having to constantly have a conversation with that. So I wanted to make this user experience into reality, and I think that has to be the future of UX for agents. Instead of you having to constantly talk with the agent, it should be able to just like notice what kind of troubles you're having and do them for you before you even say like what you want them to do. So that's the concept of Momo. That's what we're trying to do. That's our vision and our mission for Momo. And what Momo is basically it's a agent that will help you declutter your morning. So to explain this a little bit further, if you think about people, I mean, people work every day, right? So when you wake up, there's a lot of information that you take in because there are so many platforms, and as technology evolves, there are more and more platforms that you need to go through. So for example, when I wake up, I check my Gmail, my LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube for entertainment, but for work purposes, I have to check Slack, Discord, Gmail, everything, etc., etc. And it becomes, like you might not read, but I feel like there is a lot of stress to your brain when it comes to having to intake all of this information as soon as you wake up. That's why I try to do like meditation before even like getting my phone up and going. But it's because there's so much information, your brain goes through this process of automatically like planning out your day. What kind of tasks should I do first? What is the most urgent things that I have to do? And what kind of stuff that I should do today so that my tomorrow can be better? Or something that I didn't do yesterday, I have to do today. So your brain starts like going really, really fast as soon as you wake up. And that's pretty stressful for me. And some of the user interviews I did, I also realized that user interviews are very, very, very important because they give you all the answers about what your next step should be. And it's really important that you make something that users actually want. So I go through that stress. My friends go through that stress as well. So what we're trying to build is an AI agent that goes through your Gmail or your Slack messages or your Google Calendar, and it checks all the urgent emails that you need to see because right now on Gmail, for example, you receive tons of emails from all your different inboxes. And if you say there are around 10 unread emails, you have to go through them like step by step. And that's very frustrating because Gmail UX isn't that good, I feel like. So you don't know which email is from which account. So that's also very frustrating. And for example, if you get tons of messages on Slack for your company Slack channel, you also have to check which ones are really urgent, which ones you have to follow up on immediately, or which ones are not that important so that you can leave it for later. One of the things that is also very important to you is that each person has their own different value when it comes to deciding which email is important or which Slack message is important, right? So the agent, in order to do their job well, it also has to know what your KPI is for the quarter or what your company's mission is, what your own mission is to be like as a employee or a CEO, a founder, a student, or a parent, etc. So if you let that know to the agent, based on that, it will sort through all your messages that you receive on different platforms and then determine like what is the most important task that you need to do. So that's our basic concept of our agent, and we can't immediately integrate like all the platforms at the moment because we're starting small, but we're trying to right now just test out on Gmail and Google Calendar based on what your mission is and what your goal is for the next like couple of months. So that's what we're trying to test right now. And we want to test with people who are very interested in this and who actually really, really need this kind of stuff if their mornings feel very stressful or cluttered. So that's what we're trying to test. So we built this landing page, and basically the idea and the concept that I'm trying to deliver in this video is also written in this manifesto. One thing that I do want to let you guys know is that we are testing this beta program right now, but we do have a testing fee just because that we're using LLM APIs and stuff. So a $3 fee is required, and this includes a 30-day test. So every morning you're going to get a daily brief on what the most important tasks that you need to do. So for 30 days, 31 days, for a month, you will receive around 30 to 31 daily briefs. So there is a small testing fee, and we would greatly appreciate it if you guys could support us for this. So this is, yeah, some of the things that I want to say about our beta program. Other than that, I also want to introduce some resources that really helped me organize my thoughts when it comes to building this kind of tools or platforms. Is that like there are a lot of platforms and tools that we're referencing when it comes to building these kind of startups. So for example, when I was first building 10x AI, which is a agent building platform using natural language, a lot of people say that it's very similar to Zapier, N8N, or Make, etc. So, how are you guys different from Zapier? And that's a very valid question, because when it comes to these tools and then when it comes to any sort of idea that you first come up with, there are already so many ideas out in the world because we think very similarly. So, it's very important on how you can differentiate with them. But anyways, that's not what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is that because my goal is so broad, and I say that I'm going to build a personal AI assistant, I've been looking at how companies like Zapier, who built a very successful platform at the moment, or companies like Notion, for example, how did they first start? Like, how did they initially get their first customers, and how did they start? So I've been reading this blog, and it shows how Zapier first started and how they tested out their MVP and started like growing their audience and how they built this successful startup. They're very, very, I feel like Zapier is a very great successful company because they have around 500 employees, but their total investment is only $1.4 million dollars, and their annual revenue is around $160 million dollars, which is crazy. Like it just blows my mind on how they're so successful at this. So this link and this blog really helped me out on what I should do when it comes to building a very large platform. Like, what are the first initial steps that I should take? So this obviously helped me a lot. And of course, I know if you guys are startup founders, I feel like you would obviously know this article. Do things that don't scale. This is like a Bible to me because like, when it comes to first building startups and then considering like what your go-to-market strategy should be, it should be like do things that don't scale, which means that you have to go like door to door and you have to grab customers and actually like set it up for them on the spot, etc. So this also helped me a lot on what kind of strategies that I should take when it comes to GTM. So it's like, I feel like at least you've might have read this at least like once in your lifetime, but it's just like so refreshing when you read it again after actually starting a startup after a long time. So this helped me out as well. So yeah, this week I'm currently building this app, the front end and the back end at the moment, but we are right now gathering people who are willing to test and join the beta program. So I would greatly appreciate it if you guys, just if people are interested, you can always contact me on Discord or Twitter. I don't really see Twitter, so Discord would be better. But yeah, this was this week's update on what I've been doing. So again, thanks for watching my journey. And yeah, I wish you guys all the best on building your startups as well. Thank you.